So, bit of a surprise today. We got the news that I'm sure you've all seen this, but Helena Taylor is not going to be part of Bayonetta 3. She's been replaced by Jennifer Hale, who is a voice actor I absolutely love. But in this case, I'm not really happy to see this. Uh, you probably already know this, but quick recap, just in case you've been living under a rock for the last 8 hours, I don't know. But Helena Taylor was offered, after negotiations, she was offered at first a smaller amount, and then after negotiations, after talking to Hideki Kamiya, she was offered $4,000 for the entirety of the voice work in Bayonetta 3. Now, just for reference, there are YouTubers who have been paid to promote the game who have been given $10,000 to promote the game. To offer the main actor in a huge budget game like this $4,000 is a disrespect, a huge disrespect. And unfortunately, like I made a video on this previously, um, when the news came out, Helena Taylor saying that she may not be in Bayonetta 3. I talked about this being contract negotiation. I said back then she's almost certainly going to be in the game. If not, then she would be able to say that she's not going to be in the game. As with the case of David Hayter saying that he had not been contacted to work in Metal Gear Solid 5. And it seems like, unfortunately, I was wrong. This is actually a case that's very, very similar to David Hayter, because there's no way they'd be paying Jen Hale less than $4,000. If this was just about money for them, about saving money, it would be ridiculous. It would be a pittance. So it seems like this is, in my opinion, a foolish decision to try and get a more well-known voice actor in the game, as it was back then with Kojima choosing to disrespect David Hayter, which to this day I've never forgiven Kojima for. It's just David Hayter is Snake as far as I'm concerned. People make this argument. It wasn't, yeah, spoilers from Metal Gear Solid 5 if you've not played it yet. People make this argument that it wasn't the real Snake, but the real Snake in that game still wasn't voiced by David Hayter. The Japanese voice actor for David Hayter didn't change. I'm on a whole separate rant, but basically, when companies do this, it's just a huge disrespect, not just to the voice actor, but to the fans. And to think that people want these celebrity voices over the authentic voice that we've had for so many years. Taylor has been a part of the franchise for two games. She's stuck with the franchise. This is the end of the trilogy, and it is such, it's so similar the case of Metal Gear Solid 5, because to have a single voice actor be consistent through a whole series of games, and then for the ending, or what's likely to be the ending, um, to then swap out the voice actor, especially when they're not doing it for the Japanese voice actors, it's just a huge disrespect. Like, to think that gamers don't care about that level of continuity. I was really unhappy when they did this in Final Fantasy 14 as well. Um, you know, Slightly different case. In that case, they switched to an entirely different company for the voice acting, and you can argue that a lot of those voices, you could argue that some of those voices were better. I would say some are better, some are worse in that specific case. But in general, it's just hugely jarring when a character's voice suddenly changes, and it feels like this is a thing that comes from Japanese companies, and it just feels like they don't care about the English voice act. They don't care about the English audience. They think, they won't, they don't care as much. We do care. We do care, and you can clearly see this on Twitter with the response. You can clearly see this, um, and Another thing is that Hideki Kamiya's response to this has been hugely disrespectful, on top of what's been done, hugely disrespectful and immature. Uh, and he's rightfully getting toasted for it. I will say, just one personal observation that's not hugely to do with this, but it's kind of funny. Hellena Taylor evoking the Bible stuff to her fans. Um, I'm not sure if anyone told her this is a game where Bayonetta summons demons to beat the shit out of angels named after biblical figures, but that's an aside. That's an aside. I'm kidding. But really, this is not okay. And I'm glad that gamers are paying more and more attention to stuff. This is one of the things that I like about the internet, is that these things we never would have been able to discuss or hear about. Nowadays, we can hear about. We can share our voices. We can snowball this. And I really hope enough people pay attention to this. Enough people make demands to Hideki Kamiya, to Nintendo, and to Platinum Games that I don't know if this can be reversed at this point, but they need to know that this is not a and to do it in such a disrespectful way. Like if you want to get rid of a voice act, at least have the decency to tell them straight up. Don't don't just not contact and don't, for the love of God, don't give them an insulting offer with the hopes of getting them to turn it down. With the and then lie to the fans. Say that Hellena Taylor was unavailable. And basically this is just a move to recast Bayonetta, which nobody wanted. So this is a big producer, some big name, who has taken control and decided this is what they want. This is the problem with producers in Hollywood, films, movies, and now apparently video games as well. People with too much power over the production process making stupid decisions that nobody wanted. The running theme, the era we live in. In any case, I I don't know if I was gonna buy this game at this point. I was undecided, mostly because of budget. But at this point, I certainly might be buying it. And I just hope that this feedback gets back to it gets back to Platinum, and that we can hopefully start to see less. We can start to see voice actors as valued contributors, um, as they are in many studios. But it's not going to happen unless people speak out, unless let our voices. So, if you agree with this, I would say tweet at Hideki Kamiya. Um, he will probably block you. Do it anyway. And you know, if you have any more thoughts on this that I didn't cover, I'm not an expert on the industry, not an expert on voice actor rates. Um, but if you have any further insights, I would love to hear more about this in the comments below. So thank you for watching. Have yourself a great rest of your